yesterday during our first class, what we discussed was what is business analysis, okay, what is expected in business analysis, how technological advancement has been happening, okay, and then in order to cater to these advancements, earlier how a developer or a coder would work with client to create a user friendly software, but that's not the case every time. So when developer was working directly with the client, there were certain advantages, there were certain disadvantages, but the disadvantages were overpowering the advantages. And because we wanted to build a software that was more user friendly, that was well documented, okay, so we came up with the role of business analyst, okay. So these technological advancements, the disadvantages of working with a developer, not just developer, a coder or a programmer, you can call them by other names as well. So when these were happening, there was lack of user friendly software. We also understood that in order to promote your product, in order to being effectively able to do your business, your product or the software must be user friendly. The people should find it easier to use. So thus the role of business analyst was created. Now business analyst does not only work on the disadvantages of the earlier system, that is a business analyst will not just be doing documentation or focusing on customers, but they will also be doing gap analysis, recommend solution, resolve any arguments, maintain or build relationship with the client, so that these relationships can enable us in landing new work at later stages. Okay, so all these topics that we went through yesterday, does anyone have any questions? Okay, so I would assume that if no question means all is understood by everyone, and that we are good to start with the next topic for the day. So we'll get started with our today's topic. It is important to understand that as business analyst, what are some of the skills or competencies that are required? Okay, so any kind of role, not just business analyst, but every role that you want to perform, whether it's a developer in IT industry or a different person or a project manager, business analyst, whatever kind of role you want to perform, there will definitely be certain skills required. Okay. The interviews are usually conducted around those skills only. So we need to understand before we get deeper into any role, okay, it is always good to understand that what are the skills and competencies needed in order to succeed in that role. Now, since you guys would have done some basic work, okay, or some groundwork or research work in trying to identify what a business analyst will do, so what do you guys think? Okay, that what are some of the skills or competencies that are needed for you to succeed as business analyst? Anyone? Anusha, Irfan, do you have any reference or any insight onto what skills might be required as business analyst?
Uh, a good facilitator, a good leader. Hello.
Yep. Can you repeat that again, Irfan?
Yes, a good leader, business analyst should be a good leader. He should be a good facilitator.
You should have a good management skills.
Okay.
Communication and the MS Office.
Communication. And from tool point, you are saying MS Office.
Yes.
Surely. So a business analyst definitely needs the skill sets that are needed, but there are few more that can be added to the list. Okay. So let me show you. Okay. So whatever skills that you require as business analyst, that can be put into these six categories. Okay. So these six categories. Category one states analytical thinking. Okay, and we will review each one of these six categories in detail. That what is actually meant by it. Then solving, behavioral characteristics, business knowledge, communication skills, and interaction skills, and how these skills actually help us do our day-to-day work or day-to-day responsibilities. Okay, so number one is analytical thinking. Normally people assume that as a business analyst what you will do is you are going to interact with client and get requirements from client and then document those requirements. Once you have got those requirements, then document those requirements. Okay, so this is what you usually think. It's a plain simple job. Talk to client, get requirements, document those requirements. But that's not how a business analyst will actually do their work. Okay, if it is this kind of work, probably anyone can do it. Why do you need specifically a business analyst role to do this type of job? You can train your existing developers also. But what truly happens is, as business analyst, once you get the requirements, then you do the analysis. Okay, once you get the requirements, then you start with analysis. Okay? We simply don't write everything that the client will say. Sometimes client may not have a clear vision or clarity of thoughts, so they may want you to work on everything. So that's where when you review or get the requirements from the client, you do an analysis. Okay, so what that analysis can include is feasibility of implementation. Okay, can that particular requirement be converted in terms of a working software. See, at the end, what we want is whatever client says, everything should be available in our working software. If client says I should be able to search in the inventory, there should be a search option available. If client says that I should be able to add items to the cart, the software should allow that. If client says the against the items in the cart, we should be able to receive payments. Once payment is received, then add, then dispatch the item and probably deliver the item. So whatever they say, we check on the feasibility of implementation, that how feasible it is to implement whatever client is asking. Okay, so that is included in analysis, feasibility of implementation, plus requirement sorting and prioritization. Okay, that which requirement needs to be worked in first and in what order. Okay, we can have hundreds of requirements. Doesn't mean that we will start working on all 100 of them. There has to be an order, that which will be worked first and which will be worked at a later stage. So we do that work as well, sorting and prioritization, and then recommending solutions based on whatever order we have. Now, in order to do all that type of work, you don't simply have to follow or take orders from the client. Okay, you need to invoke your analytical thinking as well, analytical skills as well. That whatever my client says, does it really make sense? Okay, can it be implemented into a working software? Is it something that cannot be done? Is it something that let's say if client says that today I'm delivering food with the help of regular delivery people, now in the future or tomorrow I want to deliver food using drones. Okay, so is it really feasible to deliver food through drones as of now, or is it a thing of the future? Maybe it is good to implement this software where your drones will deliver food, but maybe it's a technology that is still can be used in future only and not now. Okay, so that's where when your client asks you or discusses with you their requirement, okay, you use your analytical thinking to identify which of these requirements actually make sense. Okay, so which of these requirements can be implemented in future versus which of these requirements are actually actually can be implemented immediately. So thus your analytical thinking kicks in. Okay, so into your analytical thinking, what could be the various subcategories, the exact skills that you need? Creative thinking, for example, is your ability to think of a solution. Okay, so like we said over here, some of these things are interlinked. Okay, that you are a good leader, so as leader you possess multiple skills. One of those skills is your ability to provide solutions. Okay, so when you invoke creative thinking, you are able to find solutions to the problem in a different way. Learning, so like we said, as a business analyst, you may not necessarily be working in the same domain. You may be switching domains, or in general, what happened in IT industry is in the last 6 to 7 years, a lot of transformation has happened. So earlier, things like agile, cloud, which were not widely used, which were restricted with few companies, they have now become norms. Okay, most of the organizations are now agile. A lot of organizations are trying to use cloud, and now the new trends like AI is coming up. Okay, and it is expected that going I mean in somewhere down the line, maybe next 2 to 3 years, the use of AI will be dominated as well. So as business analyst, what you are required is to use your analytical thinking to learn new things. Okay, as and when technological advancements are happening, keep learning new things. As long as you are learning, you will stay relevant and you will be able to drive your conversations with the client. Okay, so learning is necessary, is important, because yesterday someone was asking question that how do you learn or prepare yourself self with the domain knowledge when it comes to discussing with client. Okay, so whatever you learn, these learnings will help you drive your discussions with anyone. Okay, like I said yesterday also, through learning, if you gather basic knowledge, you are always able to go and build knowledge on top of it. If you don't want to learn anything, if you simply go to people, you may sometimes receive negative responses as well. Okay, and similarly, so systems thinking is nothing but this particular piece. Okay, that when you start working on gathering requirements, you start evaluating whether it is possible to build a system with these requirements or not. Now sometimes you may not be the only person who will come to a conclusion, because let's say we lack require technical skill set or the technical knowledge or coding skills. So not an issue, we can include other people, we can talk to developers, we can talk to someone from technical team to discuss it. But what is really important is to be able to understand, or is to be able to think whether we can build a system like this. Okay, so creative thinking enables you to find solutions or design solutions. Systems thinking help you identify the feasibility. Now, not every time we will have the required knowledge. That's where we will use learning to see if we can gather knowledge. If it is time constraint, okay, that we have to do certain things quickly, we don't have lot of time, then probably utilize your peer group. Okay, talk to them, see if you can create a if you can work together to identify the feasibility. And the last one, conceptual thinking helps you build a model, a working model. Okay, that is nothing but recommending solutions. Okay, so that is creating designs. So you would have heard of the term prototype, that when you want to showcase someone what is going inside your head, how do you think you can create a working software, we often create prototypes. Okay, so conceptual thinking enables you to create those prototypes. Okay, so that is your analytical thinking part. So analytical thinking, to revise again, this enables you to prepare or identify with, or help you bring forward your analysis part. Okay, so analysis can be done by learning new things, by trying to build solution, by trying to find feasibility of implementation. Okay, and at any stage, understand that at any stage you should always have an open mind. Okay, so what that means is that whenever you go to any kind of meetings or discussions, don't go with preformed notions. Okay, Go with open mind. So open mind will help you receive feedback and take action on feedback. So what usually happens is, if we have preconceived notions that this is how things are going to work, then probably we'll never be receptive towards feedback. We will always shut down ourselves from feedback. Why? Because we already have our own thought process. Now, on the contrary, when you have an open mind, you are willing to listen to others. Okay? So when you are willing to listen to others, you are able to better understand what they want. As business analysts, we often have to do that. Okay, so for any of these skills, as long as you have an open mind, it is very it will be very effective to drive any conversations. Now moving on to the next one, problem solving and decision making. Again, you can say that problem solving and decision making are key characteristics of a good leader. Okay, any good leader will be able to solve problems and be able to make decisions. So as a business analyst, suppose you are given with two situations. Okay, suppose you have requirement one that everyone says is critical. You have requirement two that client says is also critical. Okay, now client wants you to work on both requirement, and they want you to work on both requirement, but you know that we have limited bandwidth. We cannot work on both requirements. We will have to work on one requirement at a time. We can work on one or we can work on two. Now normally when you interact with client, they will press upon everything. They will say that everything is important, you work on everything. Now that is where your skills as a problem solver or a decision maker will come into picture. That you will be able to talk to client to discuss an order. Okay. So for example, let's say my requirement one is about user registration and my requirement two is about payments. Okay. So I'm building an e-commerce platform on which I have to register users, and once they are registered, once they add an item to the cart, they can make payments. Now, as per client, both are critical, both need to be worked together. Now, what we can do, what we can utilize our skills is that it's okay to have both as critical requirements, but what is going to be my order of execution? Okay. Can I have payments? Can I have payments alone without having user registration, without having any user? Probably the answer is no. You cannot have just payments alone, isn't it? So the actual order is there should be a user. That user should add items to cart. The items that are added to the cart, you calculate the total value for those items. Okay, that what is the total value for all the items that are in the cart, and then against the total value you allow the user to make payment. User to make payment. Okay, so now my user registration comes first, then comes payment. Okay, I cannot build a payment screen and then ask my user to register. Okay, so in that case what happened is my requirement one should come first and then comes my requirement two, even though both are important. But if I don't have any users registered onto the platform, then who is going to add items to the cart? If I don't have any items in the cart, how am I going to calculate the total value? If I don't calculate the total value, then how am I going to allow the user to make payment? So that's how then you can come to a conclusion or decide that let's work on requirement one first. Once we have the requirement one ready, then let's work on requirement two. Okay. So as business analysts, we usually try to solve problems or try to make decisions. Okay, rather than saying that we have lot of problems, this cannot be work. We try to find ways. Similarly, here we were saying feasibility of implementation. Let's say basis our knowledge, we think that a particular requirement cannot be implemented. That doesn't mean we simply go back to client and say it cannot be done. We discuss with our technical teams as well, like what they think. Maybe they will have different idea, maybe they will have better idea than ours, maybe they can find a way for implementation. So rather than simply going back and saying we have so and so problem, we try to find a solution to those problems. Now after exhausting all our options, suppose we don't have any solution, then probably you can go back and communicate. But our basic intent as a business analyst is to look for solutions, identify solutions. Okay, if there is any confusion with respect to multiple choices, then help make decision. Then there are certain behavioral characteristics that are extremely necessary to build rapport. So yesterday we were saying that as a business analyst, we try to build rapport with the client. Okay, so this is extremely necessary to gather to get more work in future also. We just don't want uh, one time work from the client and then be done with it. Okay, we want to get more work even in future. That's how we are going to make revenue. Okay? As any organization, our business model, I mean IT company's business model, is to get more work from the client. The more work we get, the better will be our revenue. So if clients stop giving us work, what are we going to do then? So we will not be left with any options. So that's why as a business analyst, build rapport. Now how are you going to build rapport? If you maintain high level of ethical standards. Okay, so these ethics will help develop trustworthiness. Okay, so for example, let's say people say that as business analyst, your responses or your solutions, okay, or your recommendations are not biased. Let's say our organization is trying to promote cloud. Okay, we are going to make lot of money if we implement cloud solution for the client, but my high level of ethical standards say that the work that client wants can be done without cloud as well. So maybe I'll not recommend it to them, maybe my organization will not like it, but that will help me maintain high level of ethical standards, that my advices are not biased. Okay, so when you have good level of ethical standards, it will help build or generate trustworthiness. So for example, the current job that I am into, so that came to me through the client that I worked first. So in the 2012, 13, 14, the client for which I worked, so I was able to maintain certain level of ethics. So through that, the client started trusting me more. In 2020, when everything was going work from home, so they reached out to me. Okay, so for the work that I did in 2012, 13, 14 time, I got its reward in the year 2021, not 2021, when they reached out to me that we have built a system uh, that can be worked completely remotely. So we no longer require people to come to offices. So why don't you join us? We no longer have location constraint. So when you build this trustworthiness, client is able to believe on your solutions. They can give you more work. They can also help you in future as well. So So that's why this building rapport requires high level of ethical standards, which will lead to a greater level of trustworthiness. And if client starts trusting you, you will get lot of work. Okay, it is easy to put forward ideas. Sometimes what happens is, we tell client that, your system is not effective, your system still has lot of manual intervention, let me remove that manual intervention and automate things. Client straight away says no, or listens to our idea and then says no. Why? It's due to lack of trustworthiness. It's not that they don't trust our technical capabilities, but when you trust someone, you are able to get in, you are able to actually make them come to a decision that favors you. For example, when you go for shopping, okay, the shopkeeper tries to convince you, tries to gain your trust, that whatever product I'm trying to sell to you is of good quality. Okay, I am a genuine seller, I'm not here to do business, I'm here to make relationships. So they try to gain your trust. Once they have gained your trust, and once you start thinking that it's a good deal for me, you will naturally be buying those things. Why do lot of brands spend so much of money on advertising themselves? Because somewhere we think that if someone is spending money on advertisement, that means they are a trustworthy brand, they are a big brand, and they will not default or provide faulty products. Then self-managing, usually nowadays lot of organizations have moved to IC roles. So what is this IC roles? This is nothing but individual contributor roles. Okay. So that means you are working individually. In earlier days, you what you would have is, there will be a team lead. The team lead will be having a team of 4 to 5 people or 6 to 7 people. The team lead will decide who will work on what. The team lead will also manage how the work is being moved forward. But nowadays, as things shift to agile, people have understand that you don't need someone to manage someone. You should have people who are self managing, that who are able to decide when they log in, what how many work items do they have in their queue, which work items have higher priority, so that they can work through those higher priority work items in the given time. Okay, so they are able to in individual contributor roles, they are able to self manage the work. Okay, no one is coming and guiding them on what you should do, how you should do, when you should do the work. Okay, so they are able to self manage the work. That means they are able to identify what work needs to be done first, how it needs to be done first. Okay, and while trying to do the work, if you encounter any problems, then be proactive in communication. Okay, suppose you encountered a problem, and because of that problem, suppose you had internet issues. Because of internet issues, you could not work on your we could you could not finish your work. Now, instead of sitting idle and then waiting for your scrum master or project manager to reach out to you, and when they reach out to you, then you give them update. So that's a response. Okay, so when someone asks you and you provide an answer, that's a response. Usually, providing a response may not be an appropriate thing. Okay, people may people may start questioning your ethics. Okay, but when you are proactive in communication, again you are maintaining high level of ethical standards. If something is stopping you from doing your work, you immediately inform your scrum master or project manager that, hey, I have internet issues because of which I'm not able to continue with my work, but as soon as the internet services are resumed, I will start my work. Now the person there, the scrum master, project manager, or your team members, they are well aware of what progress you are making. They know that you are facing some issues. Now because of which you are able to avoid any conflicts at the last minute. Okay, So as business analyst, you will learn that when you are able to self manage yourself, okay, you get into this proactive communication. So lot of times this will happen that a developer will commit to doing the work in 5 days. Now it's been already 3 days and the developer has come up with a problem that my code is not working as expected. I need more time. So I'll not be able to finish the work in 5 days. Now when you get to know about such situations that a work cannot be finished in the given time, you don't simply go back to client and say that yeah, the work cannot be finished. You try and discuss with the person that what is the problem, who can help solve the problem. If there is someone within the team who can help provide a solution, let's connect with them. Let's try to find out a solution first. If you think that there is no one within the team who can provide a solution, then maybe go back to client and tell them about the problem. Okay, don't wait for 5 days to complete and then communicate to the client as soon as you realize that the work cannot be done on time. Okay, people will really appreciate and like if you are proactive in communication. So you will have multiple people now thinking. Even client will also try to find a solution. Okay, so self managing, ability to manage your work independently, ability to perform your work independently, and being proactive in your communication. Now here what we said about learning actually stems on to this business knowledge part. But before that, so far anyone has any questions? Okay. So if no questions, let's move forward. Now, learning actually helps you gather these knowledge areas. Okay. So as business analyst, we focus on certain types of knowledges. Not these alone, but in addition to it, you can learn many things as well. But because you are representing your organization in front of the client, so organization knowledge becomes imperative. That is, you have to learn how your organization works, what's the structure of it, who are key people in your organization, what are the values your organization work on. Okay, so once you identify or once you have gained good knowledge, you are able to better represent yourself or introduce yourself to the client. Sometimes when you go to the meetings with client may want to know better about your organization, that what your organization does, how your organization brings value to the client. Okay, so only when you know about your organization in detail, that who are key people, what are the values and missions of your IT organization that you are part of, then only you can have discussion with the client. Now along with the organization that you are representing, you should also have organizational knowledge of the client. Okay, suppose if client belongs to HDFC Bank, we must know at least at the basic level what HDFC Bank does, who are key people in HDFC Bank, like who is the CEO of HDFC Bank, what is the vision of the HDFC Bank, how many branches or how many employees are there in HDFC Bank. See, people think that these basic level of knowledge are not necessary, but trust me, this basic level of knowledge is absolutely necessary in building a software. Suppose when you have a team of one or two people, okay, and you don't have any plans of expansion, then there is no point in building a software for two people. Those two people can do the manual work also. But if you have an organization of 20,000 plus people, and those people will be using your software. And suppose if HDFC Bank caters to 10 lakh clients or maybe 1 crore clients, so you are able to understand the gravity of your solution or importance of your solution, that whatever software I am going to build, it won't just be used by one or two people. It will be used by 18,000 employees maybe, through which maybe more than 1 crore customers will be able to use this solution. So when you think of numbers, when you know the organization, client organization as well, your problems or your solutions start addressing to a wider audience. That my system should not get slow if 1 lakh people are trying to use it at the same time. Okay. Same thing goes with industry knowledge. That suppose if taking back HDFC Bank example, suppose if I know about HDFC Bank, then HDFC Bank belongs to banking industry. So how the banking industry in general is shaping up, like what are the new rules and regulations coming up, how those rules and regulations will impact the client that I am working with. Okay. And how is my client planning to respond to these new rules and regulations? So industry knowledge will help you build a niche solutions. Okay. Now these type of knowledges, what they enable you is they enable you to have conversations with client. Okay. We keep saying that we go to client to get requirements. Okay. So that means as business analyst, you will be spending lot of time meeting with clients. Okay. These meetings could be physical in nature. These meetings could be virtual in nature. So there will be plenty of meetings with client. Now, we don't want to go to these meetings without any inputs. Okay. Whatever client says, see, we said that we should be able to invoke our analytical thinking. That means we should be able to analyze what client wants to say. But you can only do analysis if you have knowledge. If you have zero knowledge, no analysis. You will not be able to proceed further. You will not be able to decide whether this requirement implementation is feasible or not. Okay. Analysis only comes with knowledge. Without knowledge there is no analysis. So so in order to do the analysis, you must have basic organization knowledge, industry knowledge. Then only you will be able to strike conversations with the client. You'll be able to get more details from the client. So in coming classes we will look at elicitation techniques, and when we will go through elicitation techniques, you will understand how this knowledge will help you even gather more requirements. Okay. So these meetings could be effective if you have the background knowledge. Again, no one expects you to be the master of the field unless you have spent considerable amount of time. Like let's say you spent 6 7 years only working in banking domain, then definitely people would expect you to have good banking knowledge. But if you spent 1 or 2 years, then usually people will not expect you to be an expert. Methodology knowledge or solution knowledge basically intends to tell you what methodology, like suppose if we are working in agile, waterfall, or any of the appropriate technologies. Similarly, methodology with respect to what skills are needed as business analysts. So someone put up over here that MS Office tools. So similarly, there are other tools that are required. So how well do you know your tools on which you can work? Okay. So next two are communication and interaction skills. They actually help with this aspect. So we said we'll have lot of meetings with the client. So we mentioned that we will have lot of meetings with the client. Our communication skills and our interaction skills will help drive those meetings and will help those meetings much more effective. Okay, for example, uh, when we go to meetings, we often think that setting up a meeting, discussing in the meeting is a very easy thing, but it can be made further effective by doing or by following some small practices. One, whenever we are setting up meetings, ensure that we invite the right set of people. Okay, everyone's time is critical, everyone's time is precious, including our time as well. We don't want everyone to be part of meeting even when they don't have to give any inputs. So often what people do is they will invite the whole group without even thinking whether they need the whole group or not. Suppose if I am going to uh, if I am going to give a party. Okay, I'm going to give a party on my home. Now I am planning to invite people for dinner. Maybe I will call a caterer and discuss with the caterer alone what will be the food menu for the dinner. Okay, I don't have to, while discussing food items with caterer, I don't have to call in decoration people. I don't have to call in other delivery related people to discuss on the food menu. Okay, so for discussing with food menu or what all items need to be cooked, just call in caterer. Similarly, if you are going to have any discussions, if you are going to set up meetings, identify who are the people with whom you need input. Okay, with whom you need to discuss. You don't have to invite the entire organization. So I see a lot of people sometimes they send invitation just for the sake of sending invitation. They will invite the entire group. Now lot many people will join the meeting, but only one or two will be providing inputs. So let's not waste time like this. Let's ensure that only required people are joining the meeting. Now, whenever you are sending out a meeting, ensure that you publish agenda. Okay. So this agenda will tell people what the meeting is about, what will be discussed in the meeting. Okay. Now, when you invite right set of people and you in publish agenda, there's a good chance that people will come prepared for the meeting. So instead of saying no, I did not look at the meeting, I don't have any idea, let's postpone the meeting, they will give you actual ideas. Okay. Now once your meeting is happening, get into the habit of taking notes. Now usually I don't recommend taking notes while the meeting is going on. I usually say that record the meetings if possible, and once the meeting is over, then listen to the recording and take notes. Okay, so recordings can consume lot of space. So keeping recordings on your laptop or desktop may not be a feasible option. Okay, so what you do is you make recordings, you then derive notes from your records and delete the recording so that you don't consume lot of space or you don't run into space issues. But if you don't have an option of recording the meetings, then probably try and take notes. And then the last thing is actually publish action items. So many a times what happens is we drive our discussions. Okay, we come up to a conclusion, we ask questions, and someone in the meeting, suppose we ask client that when are you going to when are you going to provide clarification or provide details on what type of payment methods are needed. Payment methods are needed. Okay, so client is saying that we want to enable digital payment for all things that people are buying. Now we ask them a question that putting a digital payment means credit card, debit card, net banking, UPI, wallets. We have many ways of digital payment. Do you want to include all or few? If few, then what are those? So client said that I don't have any idea about it. I never thought about which all payment method should be included. So let me go back and come back to you. Okay, let me go back, discuss with my team, and then I will give you a response. So this is an open question that is come out from meeting. Now what happens is, instead of forgetting about this, you publish an action item. Action item is that client to confirm what type of payment method is needed. Okay, so that way everyone who attended the meeting, they will know that there is something pending with the client, that client needs to confirm onto this. Okay, now publishing this alone is not enough. What I also recommend doing is that you publish timeline also. Okay, just saying that give me the information doesn't tell someone by when the information is needed. Okay, we want to tell the other person that I need this information within 1 day, 2 day, or 3 days, or 5 days, so that I am able to finish my work on time. Unless you give me the requirements, I will not be able to finish my work. So if you delay in providing confirmation, my requirement document will be delayed. If requirement document is delayed, my development team cannot do the coding. So give them a timeline. By when are you expecting? Usually people just simply send this action item, but I'll say, in order to make your meetings more effective, send the action item along with timeline. Okay, and to further highlight how important this action item is, mention the consequences as well. So consequences doesn't mean you are trying to threaten the other person, but consequences simply mean that this particular action item, please provide a response on this particular action item in 2 days. If you don't provide a response in 2 days, then requirement documentation will be delayed. If requirement documentation is delayed, the software, or the timelines to create the software may get impacted. So that way client will understand the importance, that if I don't give a response in 2 days, my software creation can get delayed. If that is delayed means my business will lose on revenue. So let me give the response within 2 days. So that way you are highlighting or making your meetings much more effective. See, the intention is not to go to meetings and simply say that I have meetings every day, or just come out of these meetings. The intention is to make our meetings much more effective. Okay, that when we go to meetings and when we come out of those meetings, we feel that we have achieved the given objective. When we come out of meeting and if we feel that we were not able to achieve what we were expecting, then that's a simple waste of half an hour or 1 hour of that meeting. Okay, so that's where your communication skills, verbal communication, written communication, ensure that you follow these standards over here. Okay, so when you are writing mails, not just meetings, when you are writing emails as well, you can follow the similar practice. Send your mail to right set of people from whom you are expecting a response. Discuss in detail what problem you are facing, and at the end, you may not, because it's an email, so you may not be taking notes, but tell the importance, that if you are asking certain question in your email, then by when the response is needed and what will be the consequences if no response is provided. So whether you use verbal communication in meetings, whether you use written communication through emails, try to follow this standard. Okay, this will help you make your emails meetings much more productive and effective. Okay, and like I said, in the starting itself, have an open mind. So open mind means being able to listen, being able to being receptive towards others feedback or ideas as well. So listen to 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 all those sort of listen to your client. Okay, don't go with rigid mindset. Now all these skills that we discussed over here till communication part actually help you achieve your interaction skills. Okay, for example, who will be called a good leader? Who is able to solve problems, who is able to make good decisions, who is able to build trust, who is able to learn things. Okay, naturally that person will be a good leader. As a business analyst, you are, even though it's an individual contributor role I mentioned over here, even though business analyst could be an individual contributor role, but you are only individually working on getting requirements. But it's not that you are always alone, you have developers, testers. So as a good leader, you guide them as well. Teamwork, yeah. So just to give you an example of teamwork, a lot of time this happens. Okay, client gives you requirement 1, client gives you requirement 2. Now while you are working on requirement 1 or 2, what client does is they add requirement 3 as well, they add requirement 4 as well. Okay, so we often work on these things. Now client says that work on these two as well, or they modify requirement 2 slightly. Okay, this happens every now and then, that client will either change their requirement or add new requirement. But remember guys, whenever client is adding new requirement or modifying existing requirements, client will naturally ask you that since the requirement has changed or modified, or since we have added new requirements, how much time do you think you will take? Okay, how much time do you think it will take to complete these? It will take to complete these requirements. Okay, remember, we are not 100% technical. I mean, when I say we are not 100% technical, what I mean is we are not the developer. Okay, the person who is going to code and test are different set of people. We are there to gather requirements. Now we could come from technical background, we could understand how much time it will take to write a code, but still you should never take decision from your own. Always tell the client that give me 1 day time, give me 1 hour time, certain time duration, let me go back to my team and discuss and come back to you. Ask your team members that client has changed requirement to, this is the modified requirement, how much time it will require, or client is trying to add new requirements to our backlog, how much time will it take to complete it. Now once you discuss with your team, once you get idea, then go back to client and confirm. Okay, remember, you don't confirm anything on your own, otherwise client may hold you accountable. But since we are not doing the coding, we can say that this code will take 1 hour to finish. Client will ask how much time you will take, we can say 1 hour. When we go back to our developer and say that do this work in 1 hour, now developer can say no, developer can say that this is not 1 hour work, this is 3 hour work. So if we then go back to client and say that no, no, it is not 1 hour work, it is 3 hour work, then client, what will happen? Client will not be able to trust us. Client will say that initially you said 1 hour, now you are saying 3 hours. If you keep changing the estimate, how are you going to complete my work? So that is why instead of committing anything directly to the client, we always refer to teamwork. Okay, if it is something simple, if it is something that doesn't require intervention from the team, good. But if you feel or if you assess that there is something which requires intervention from the team, then it is always good to tell the client, let me go back and discuss with my team. That doesn't mean take all the take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Give a realistic idea as well. Okay, last one, conflict resolution is nothing but it comes from your problem solving or decision making. So when will conflict happen? Two people having different ideas for the same problem. That's a conflict. Okay. One person says let's use cloud for creating our website. Other person can say no, no, let's not use cloud, let's use in-house servers to create the website. So two-person providing different solution to the same problem can lead to conflicts. Again, as business analyst, as you are the decision maker, you are the leader, you can help both of them come to a single conclusion. So these in a nutshell, guys, are some of are the key skills, I would say, that are needed. Now, I would urge you guys, like I said, to always have an open mind. Okay, that whenever you go for any meetings, trainings, any knowledge sessions, ensure that you have an open mind so that you are able to receive things. Okay, don't go with preconceived notions. Otherwise, it will stop you from learning new items. Okay, so if you have an open mind, that will help you achieve your business objectives or your skills easily. You can acquire any skill. Okay, you can acquire, you can modify your skills as long as you have the open mind. Okay, now remember these notes around emails and meetings as well. They will help you make your meetings and emails much more effective and productive. Okay, that's what we want. We want to get maximum from our time. Any questions, guys?
No, 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 Rahul.
Okay, so in tomorrow's class, I'll give you guys one video. It's a YouTube video, so I'll share you the link. Go through that video. So again, the intention of that video is not to find right or wrong things, but the intention of the video is to generate some of these key items like listening. Okay, your ability to take notes, so written communication, how well you are able to write notes. And then day after tomorrow, we'll discuss what you understood from that video.